If you're a man in your 60s or older, and you've been told to eat more vegetables for better health, I want you to pause and listen carefully. There might be a vegetable in your refrigerator right now that's actually contributing to your declining energy, prostate problems, and lack of performance. This isn't just about age, it's about hidden risks in foods you were led to believe are good for you, but might be quietly undermining your health. I'm Dr. Alan Bishop, a board-certified urologist and men's health expert with over 3 decades of experience guiding older men, many in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, back to feeling like themselves again, naturally. Over the years, I've learned that the most effective medicine often isn't found in a prescription, it's already in your kitchen. What if I told you that some of the most common vegetables, the ones considered healthy, contain compounds that boost estrogen, restrict blood flow, and aggravate the prostate? Worse still, many of these are recommended as heart-friendly by experts with good intentions. That's the irony. The very foods marketed as healthy might be doing the most damage. In this video, I'm going to uncover 4 vegetables you should eliminate from your diet immediately if you care about testosterone, blood flow, and overall vitality. Then, I'll introduce you to 4 powerful vegetables that can reverse that damage, helping restore circulation, build confidence, and support your prostate within days. Be sure to stick around to the end. I'll name a common green vegetable that increases estrogen levels in men over 60 by more than 30%, and yet it's rarely mentioned by your doctor. Once you know the truth, you'll never look at your plate the same way again. Before we get into the specifics, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another video designed to keep you strong, sharp, and full of life after 60. And if what you hear today resonates, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. I always value your feedback to make these videos better for you. Let's begin with something most older men are never warned about. 4 vegetables that may seem healthy but can quietly sabotage your health, disrupt hormone balance, reduce circulation, and sap the energy you need most. Let's break down why these are more harmful than they appear. First on the list, soy-based foods like soybeans, tofu, edamame, and soy milk. Let me tell you about a man I once treated. His name was George, a 68-year-old retired principal with a sharp mind and a loving marriage. But something felt off. He came into my office clearly frustrated and a bit ashamed. "Doc," he said, "everything else is fine, but I just don't feel like myself anymore. I'm constantly tired, and my desire, it's just not there." His test results didn't show anything alarming. His heart was in decent shape, cholesterol a bit elevated. But then something stood out. Estrogen levels were abnormally high for a man his age. That's when I asked George about his diet. He told me, almost proudly, that he'd switched over to tofu, soy milk, and edamame a few years back after reading they were good for heart health. And that's when it all made sense. Soybeans, though often celebrated by nutritionists, are packed with phytoestrogens, plant-based compounds that imitate estrogen in the male body. Now, this might not seem alarming at first, but when you're over 60 and your testosterone is already naturally declining, adding in estrogen-like compounds from soy only throws your hormones further out of balance. And what does that lead to? For many men like George, it means reduced drive, longer recovery times, lower energy, and yes, declining performance and weaker erections. I've seen this pattern again and again. The problem isn't just the tofu or soy milk you intentionally consume, it's how soy slips into your meals without you noticing. It's hidden in protein bars, salad dressings, processed snacks, and imitation meats. Food companies love soy because it's cheap and easy to work with, and it gets labeled healthy, but your hormones pay the price. And it doesn't stop at testosterone. Soy consumption has also been linked in some research to increased inflammation and even disruptions in thyroid function, especially in older adults. Pair that with natural declines in circulation and nerve sensitivity, and you've got the perfect recipe for lowered confidence and dwindling intimacy. George was stunned but open-minded. We eliminated soy from his diet, and just a few weeks later, he returned feeling noticeably more energized. A month after that, I received a note in the mail from his wife, handwritten. It read, "Thank you for bringing my husband back. Am I saying soy is toxic? Not exactly. But for men in their 60s, or older, especially those already experiencing fatigue, prostate issues, or challenges in the bedroom, soy is one food group I'd strongly suggest avoiding. There are far better ways to nourish your body without putting your masculinity at risk. And if you think that's surprising, just wait until you hear about a vegetable that's often recommended for healthy circulation, but when eaten the wrong way, might actually be stiffening your arteries and reducing blood flow where it matters most. You probably have it in your pantry right now. Let's talk about number 2, pickled or canned beets. Not long ago, a patient named Harold, 72 years old, came in with a concerned look. "Doc," he said, "I've been doing everything right. I eat beets almost every day. I heard they're great for blood flow, so I've been adding them to dinner. But my legs still feel cold, and truthfully, things down there aren't getting any better." That last part came out in a hushed voice, the kind of quiet vulnerability I often hear when a man's confidence begins to fade. I gave him a nod and asked one simple question. "Harold, are those beets fresher from a can?" He paused and admitted, "Canned mostly, sometimes pickled too. It's just easier." And that was the issue. While fresh beets are among the best vegetables for supporting circulation-rich and natural nitrates that convert into nitric oxide to help widen blood vessels and improve blood flow, processing changes everything. Fresh beets can benefit your legs, your brain, and yes, your performance. But canned or pickled, that's another story. Canning beets involves high heat, which destroys many of the compounds that make them beneficial. And when they're pickled, they're soaked in sodium and vinegar, which tighten your blood vessels and cancel out those gains in circulation. Harold believed he was nourishing his body, but in reality, he was unknowingly narrowing his arteries, particularly the tiny, crucial vessels responsible for performance and sensation in the lower body. When we examined his diet more carefully, we realized Harold was consuming nearly twice the recommended amount of daily sodium, mostly from pickled vegetables that were supposed to be healthy. And that much salt doesn't just raise your blood pressure, it also lowers nitric oxide levels, reducing blood flow and contributing to the very issues Harold was trying to solve. We made one simple change: replace those processed beets with freshly roasted ones, seasoned gently with olive oil and a pinch of sea salt. No extreme diet, no pills, just real food in its natural form. Within 2 weeks, Harold said his hands and feet felt warmer. A few weeks later, he had more stamina for his morning walks. And soon enough, he felt confident again in the bedroom without relying on medication. The lesson is simple. Not all vegetables are equal, especially after processing. The nutrients you think you're getting may have vanished, or worse, transformed into something harmful. So before grabbing a can or jar, ask yourself, is this nourishing my blood flow, quietly blocking it? Now, let's move on to a vegetable often praised in Mediterranean diets, celebrated for its flavor and versatility. But for older men dealing with nerve sensitivity or persistent joint pain, this food might be adding fuel to the fire, and this one often catches people off guard. Number 3, nightshade vegetables, especially eggplant. I'll never forget talking with Henry, a 75-year-old retired builder with hands toughened by decades of work and a quiet wisdom behind his words. He'd come in for a regular checkup, but our conversation quickly turned serious. "Doc," he said, "my knees are screaming, my back's stiff every morning, and frankly I've got no feeling left down below. It's not pain, it's just nothing." Like a light switch flipped off. His test results looked fine and nothing glaring. He was still active, walking daily, and eating what he believed was a healthy, balanced diet. Grilled veggies, colorful plates, just like the experts recommend. So I asked Henry to walk me through his typical meals, and one detail stood out. Eggplant. I have it almost every night, he said. My wife bakes it with tomato and cheese Mediterranean style. On the surface, that sounds like a healthy, flavorful choice. But here's the catch. Eggplant is part of the nightshade family, along with tomatoes, peppers, and white potatoes. While tomatoes in small amounts can be beneficial, eggplant often causes trouble, especially for older men. You see, nightshades contain compounds called alkaloids. In some people, especially those over 60, these alkaloids can stir up low-level inflammation, particularly in the joints and nerves. And while that might seem like a minor issue, for someone already dealing with aging-related inflammation, it becomes a compounding problem. In Henry's case, those compounds were likely worsening nerve sensitivity, not just in his knees or lower back, but in the delicate pelvic region too. That numb, disconnected feeling he described? It wasn't just hormonal or vascular, it was neurological. The nerve signals simply weren't making it through. Think of your body like a network of electrical wiring. If those wires are frayed or inflamed, the signal becomes weaker, disappears altogether. That's what chronic exposure to nightshade alkaloids can do. After we took eggplant off Henry's menu and cut back on other nightshades, there was a shift. The tingling in his legs eased, his stiffness improved, and a few weeks later, he came in grinning. He leaned closer and said, "Doc, I think the feeling's starting to come back." Oh, moments like that are why I love this work. Now, I'm not saying every man needs to avoid every tomato or potato, but if you're feeling increasingly stiff, losing sensation, or struggling with intimacy, it's worth paying attention to your nightshade intake. Inflammation doesn't always look like redness or swelling. Sometimes it shows up as absence, as silence where connection used to be. And speaking of things that fly under the radar, there's one more vegetable on this list that fools even the most health-conscious men. It's praised for its anti-cancer benefits and is a staple in many clean-eating plans. But when you overcook it or microwave it, you strip away its healing compounds and can actually end up doing more harm than good. If you've ever wondered why your healthy meals haven't restored your strength, this could be the missing piece. Let's talk about overcooked broccoli or other microwave cruciferous vegetables. Not long ago, a man named Stanley, 69 years old and recently widowed, came into my office. He was a proud grandfather, the kind of guy who follows doctor's orders to a T. "Doc," he said with a grin, "I steam my broccoli every night. Been doing it for years. They say it's good for the prostate, right?" He laughed a little, but I could tell there was something behind the joke. He leaned in, lowered his voice, and admitted his energy had dropped off. More concerning, he was getting up more often at night to urinate. His performance had slipped, and mentally, he felt foggy, like the lights were dimming. "I'm doing everything right," he said. "So why do I feel like I'm fading?" So I asked Stanley how he was actually preparing his vegetables. With a proud smile, he said, "I steam that broccoli until it's soft, and if I'm in a hurry, I toss it in the microwave." That hit a nerve. Because while broccoli is one of the most potent foods for men over 60, especially for supporting prostate health and managing estrogen, it only delivers those benefits if it's cooked the right way. Broccoli, along with other cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower and Brussels sprouts, contains a compound called sulforaphane. This nutrient is a real powerhouse. It helps your liver eliminate toxins, fights off chronic inflammation, and most importantly for older men, helps reduce excess estrogen and support a healthier testosterone balance. But here's the catch. Sulforaphane is extremely sensitive to heat. When broccoli is over, steamed or worse, microwave, the very nutrient you need most gets destroyed. What's left? Some fiber, yes, but the protective, hormone-balancing benefits are gone. Unknowingly, Stanley had been cooking away the exact nutrient his body was desperately asking for. He thought he was doing everything right, but the way he prepared his food was working against him. We made one small change: no more overcooking. Instead, he began lightly steaming his broccoli for just a few minutes, or sometimes eating it raw with a little olive oil and lemon. Within weeks, the fog in his mind began to lift. He noticed fewer nighttime trips to the bathroom, and slowly but surely, his vitality started coming back. That's the thing at this stage in life. Small changes matter. The choices you repeat each day either build you up or wear you down. Too many older men are doing their best eating their vegetables, cutting back on junk, but they miss the details that make the real difference. The truth is, how you prepare your food can make or break its health benefits. And in the case of broccoli, overcooking doesn't just ruin the taste state, strips away one of the strongest natural defenders your body has. Now that you know which vegetables might be working against you and how to prepare them properly, it's time to focus on the good news. There are certain vegetables that can truly restore your strength and improve how you feel day to day. When you start eating the right foods consistently, you can experience a real shift in your energy, in your confidence, and even in how connected you feel to your partner. So what are these performance-friendly vegetables, and how do they help you reclaim the spark that may have faded over the years? Let's start with one of my favorites, Arugula, unsung hero of men's health. I call it rocket fuel for the bedroom. I'll never forget working with Tom, a 71-year-old former aircraft technician. He walked into my office early one morning, looking tired but hopeful. "Doc," he said quietly, "I'm not chasing miracles. I just want to feel like a man again like I used to." His wife had passed away a few years prior, and since then, the spark inside him physically and emotionally had gone dim. "I still want to feel alive," he told me. "I just don't know where to begin." At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary until Tom described his meals. They were mostly beige and bland: toast, pasta, a bit of meat. Leafy greens were almost non-existent, especially the kind that truly matter. That's when I introduced him to one of nature's most underrated allies, arugula. It might look like just another salad ingredient, but let me tell you, it's far from ordinary. Arugula is loaded with naturally occurring nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide? That's the key to healthy blood flow. It relaxes and widens your blood vessels, sending more oxygen-rich blood exactly where it needs to go, especially when it comes to performance. Unlike pills that artificially force circulation and bring a list of side effects, arugula works with your body's own rhythm. It supports your arteries in doing what they're designed to do: expand, deliver nutrients, and energize your entire system. And the effects aren't limited to the bedroom. More efficient circulation means sharper focus, warmer hands and feet, and stronger, more natural responses. Tom wasn't expecting miracles. He just sprinkled a handful of arugula on his morning eggs and added a bit to his dinner salad. But after just a few days, he began to notice small shifts. His mind felt clearer. His legs didn't ache like they used to. Then, one morning, he woke up feeling something he hadn't in years. He sat in my office, eyes misty, and said, "Doc, it's back. I didn't think I'd ever feel this again, and I didn't need a prescription to do it." That's the quiet strength of arugula. It's not hyped or flashy, but it works in harmony with your body, bringing you back to life in the most natural way. But even more powerful than the vegetable itself is the message it carries. Healing doesn't always come in a bottle. Sometimes, it's right there on your plate waiting for you to give it a chance. And arugula? That's just the beginning. Next, let's talk about a root that often gets ignored because it's a little messy to cook, but when eaten fresh or roasted, it delivers a rush of energy, improves blood flow, and can help restore physical confidence in as little as 12 hours. Number 2, fresh or oven-roasted red beets. When I think of the most overlooked superfoods for men over 60, red beets are always near the top. I once worked with Carl, a 67-year-old retired firefighter. He was the kind of guy with a firm handshake and a big heart. He came in not because he was sick, but because something inside him had been slowly fading. "I love my wife," he said quietly, "but I don't feel like myself anymore. I feel slower, weaker, and I know she can see it too. We went over everything, his medications, stress levels, sleep habits, but one red flag kept surfacing. Carl had poor circulation. His feet were cold most mornings. He was running out of breath quicker than usual. His stamina was slipping, and so was his confidence. Carl had quietly started avoiding intimacy, not out of lack of desire, but out of quiet shame. What many men don't realize is that this downward spiral often begins with circulation. When blood flow weakens, energy dips, confidence slips, and performance issues follow. That's when I introduced Carl to something simple, earthy, and surprisingly effective: fresh red beets. No, they're not glamorous. They stain your hands and carry a strong, distinctive flavor. But inside, they're packed with natural dietary nitrogen, of the most powerful blood flow boosters available to men over 60. These nitrates convert to nitric oxide in the body, which signals blood vessels to relax and widen, allowing oxygen-rich blood to travel more efficiently throughout the body. That includes circulation to the brain, muscles, heart, and yes, the places that matter most for male vitality. Beets are essentially nature's way of supporting what synthetic pills try to force hand. The best part is, your body does the work naturally. Carl started roasting beets a few nights a week, nothing fancy. Just a drizzle of olive oil, a sprinkle of sea salt, and time in the oven. Within a few days, he noticed a difference. His hands and feet felt warmer, his stamina improved, his thoughts felt clearer. But what stuck with me most was what happened next. He came in early one morning, leaned on the counter, and with a soft smile said, "Doc, last night she looked at me like she used to." That meant everything. Stories like Carl's are more common than you'd think. Red beets don't just support performance, they help restore confidence, closeness, and dignity. But here's the key. They must be fresh or oven roasted, not pickled, not canned. Processing destroys the nitrates that make them effective, and in some cases, adds harmful levels of salt that do more damage than good. So here's my advice. If you want to improve your energy, boost circulation, and bring back the spark, start with fresh beets. Give it 7 days. Your body will feel the shift. And if you're lucky, your partner might notice too. But beets aren't the only heroes in your kitchen. There's another vegetable that quietly protects something deeper: your prostate. It's rich, red, and turns into a powerful antioxidant only when it's cooked. The problem? Most men eat it raw and completely miss its benefits. Let's talk about number 3. Cooked tomatoes, the quiet guardian of the prostate. I'll never forget Richard, a 74-year-old former salesman, always dressed crisp with neatly combed silver hair. He sat down with a heavy look in his eyes. "It's not just that I'm always going to the bathroom," he said. "It's the stress, the hesitation. When I try to be close to my wife, I feel distracted, exhausted, or just embarrassed by what I can't do anymore." Then he paused and added something I'll never forget. "I don't want to be her patient. I want to be her man again." What Richard was feeling is something I hear often from men in their 60s and beyond: prostate discomfort, shifting hormones, and a gradual decline in vitality that quietly chips away at confidence. But what most men don't realize is that there's a simple food that's been supporting prostate health for decades. And when it's prepared the right way, it can make a noticeable difference. That food is the tomato. Here's the key. Though it's not about eating them raw, the real benefit comes when tomatoes are cooked. When heated, tomatoes release lycopene, a potent antioxidant with a special ability to concentrate in the prostate and fight off inflammation. Lycopene is more than just heart healthy. It's one of the rare natural compounds shown in studies to help reduce prostate swelling and lower the risk of prostate cancer in older men. I encouraged Richard to start adding cooked tomatoes to his routine. Nothing complicated, just real food. A homemade pasta sauce, a bowl of roasted tomatoes on whole grain toast, or a warm tomato soup with herbs and olive oil. And that last part matters. Healthy fats like olive oil significantly improve lycopene absorption. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency and preparation. In just a few weeks, Richard started noticing improvements. He wasn't rushing to the bathroom as often during the night. He slept more soundly. His energy started to lift. But what meant the most was what his wife noticed. "You're laughing again," she said. "You're present. You're not always on edge." That steady return to himself physically and emotionally was the start of a real transformation. He was no longer just trying to manage symptom. She was becoming a husband again. That's why I call cooked tomatoes the unsung protector of the prostate. They don't promise overnight results, but with regular use, they quietly reduce the inflammation and cellular stress that slowly undermine male health. And you don't need to overdo it. Just 2 or 3 servings of cooked tomato-based meals each week can go a long way. Add garlic, basil, and a touch of olive oil, and you've got a dish that nourishes your body in all the right ways. Now, while tomatoes are quietly supporting your prostate, there's another vegetable that works in a different way. It helps free up the testosterone already in your body, testosterone that may be trapped and inactive. This last key helps older men feel not just better, but truly alive again. And chances are, it's already in your refrigerator. Let's talk about it. Number 4. Spinach, the hidden supporter of testosterone. I'll never forget Leonard, a 70-year-old man with a kind, steady presence. He had been married for more than 4 decades and deeply loved his wife. But in a soft, hesitant voice, he told me something many men are afraid to admit. "I still love her," he said, "but I don't feel like myself anymore. I don't feel strong physically, mentally, or emotionally. I feel like I'm disappearing." And here's the thing, Leonard wasn't sick. He wasn't burdened by medications or chronic illness. But Edward had every sign of low testosterone, persistent fatigue, mental fog, loss of drive, and a quiet emotional distance from his wife that clearly weighed on him. Like many men in their 70s, he assumed it was just part of aging, something to tolerate, something inevitable. But in truth, it wasn't just time wearing him down. It was depletion. Years of accumulated stress, processed foods, sluggish blood flow, and mineral deficiencies had slowly drained his ability to produce and utilize testosterone effectively. One of the simplest and most effective ways to begin reversing that. A vegetable you've likely walked past 100 times. Spinach. This leafy green is rich in magnesium, folate, and natural plant nitric, a trio of nutrients that work together to support testosterone levels, enhance circulation, and sharpen mental focus. Magnesium, in particular, helps unbind testosterone that's trapped in the bloodstream, making it available for the body to actually use. For older men, that can mean the difference between sluggishness and renewed vitality, between feeling disconnected and stepping forward with quiet confidence. I told Edward to keep it simple. Add a handful of steamed spinach to one meal a day, breakfast or lunch, whatever was easiest. Within weeks, he began to feel different. His mood brightened. He found himself more present in conversations. His body felt steadier on walks, and he started moving with more ease. But the moment that touched him most, one morning, his wife looked up at him, smiled, and said, "You're standing taller again." That's the kind of change spinach can support. It's not about trends or hype, it's about giving your aging body the nutrients it quietly craves. Spinach supports healthy circulation, hormone function, and cognitive clarity, all without the need for pills or invasive treatments. However you enjoy it, steamed, lightly sautéed, or blended into a smoothie, adding spinach to your daily routine can help you reclaim strength from the inside out. Now that you know the 4 vegetables that can help restore circulation, rebalance hormones, and bring back your energy and presence, there's one last thing I want to leave you with. Because even when your plate is filled with the right foods, there's still one mistake many older adults make on that subtly undermines all the progress. It's not just what you eat, but how and when you eat that matters. Let me explain. Conclusion. What really changes when you choose the right vegetables after 60? After decades of working with men, looking to regain their strength and vitality later in life, I've learned a profound truth. Transformation doesn't happen in a flash and it doesn't come in a bottle. Real, lasting change starts with the small, intentional choices you make each day, especially what you choose to put on your plate. I've seen men like George remove soy and feel their energy return. Men like Harold switch from pickled beets to fresh roasted ones and feel their limbs warm up again. I've seen Henry let go of nightshades like Eggplant and slowly regain feeling. And I've watched Edward rediscover his strength with something as simple as spinach. I've seen Stanley learn to steam his broccoli more gently and finally get a full night's rest without those constant bathroom trips. These aren't dramatic miracles, they're quiet, meaningful shifts. Subtle but powerful changes that begin the moment a man decides to learn more and choose better. Then there are the men who embrace the right foods. Men like Tom, who regained his strength with something as simple as a handful of arugula. Carl, who rekindled his energy by roasting fresh red beets. Richard, who found relief and rhythm again with cooked tomatoes. And Edward, who stood taller literally and emotionally after making spinach a part of his day. Each of their journeys reminds me of one important truth. Aging doesn't mean fading. It means adapting. It means listening more closely to your body and responding with care. The body doesn't stop listening at 60, 70, or even 80. And when you finally give it what it's been missing, it begins to respond, maybe slowly, maybe subtly, but always with grace. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's this. Not every vegetable is right for every man. Some healthy foods may actually be draining your strength. The 4 foods we discussed: soy, pickled or canned beets, nightshades like eggplant, and overcooked cruciferous vegetable scan quietly chip away at circulation, hormone balance, and vitality. But the right 4 arugula, fresh red beets, cooked tomatoes, and spinach can help rebuild that vitality from within. You have more power over your energy, your confidence, and your health than you've been led to believe. Your best days don't have to be behind you. And no matter your age, it's never too late to feel alive again, one bite at a time. I say this not only as a doctor, but as someone who's walked this journey with thousands of men. Men who once believed it was too late, that they were too far gone, too tired, too disconnected to change. But they weren't, and neither are you. In the next video, I'll show you how to take these powerful vegetables and turn them into easy, satisfying meals that support circulation, hormone balance, and confidence in every part of your life. We'll walk through a 7-day plan that has already helped countless men feel stronger in their bodies, in their hearts, and in their relationships. You won't want to miss it. If this message resonated with you or someone you care about, please take a moment to like, share, and comment below. Whether it's a question, your own experience, or a simple thank you, your voice could be exactly what another man needs to take his first step toward better health. I read every message, and your feedback shapes the direction of this channel. And if there's a man in your life who's over 60 and struggling with low energy, intimacy challenges, or just not feeling like himself, send him this video. It may do more good than any prescription ever could. And if you believe in this mission bringing honest, practical health guidance to older adults across the globe, consider making a small contribution using the link in the description below. Every donation helps keep these videos free of ads, grounded in real information, and accessible to the people who need them most. Your well-being matters, your voice matters, and your support truly makes a difference. So please like, comment, share, and if you're able, donate. Together, we can continue building a community of strong, informed, and confident men on decision, one step, one meal at a time.